Good morning. My name is Annette Wallace, and I am your worship associate today. Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Evanston. Whether this is your spiritual home or you are newly discovering this community, we are grateful you are with us. We are an inclusive and welcoming community, seeking truth and love, and striving to nurture the human spirit for a world made whole. We are guided by our principles and values, which remind us in every moment and through every challenge that each of us is worthy of love and that we are all connected through the vast and beautiful web of existence. We come together to remember our kinship with one another and to hold one another in heart and mind with tenderness and careful attention. There are many links of connection in the description below of the YouTube live stream, including the order of service credits, ways to support our mission, and to be added to our email newsletter list. If you are in the sanctuary, we encourage you to use the QR code for the digital order of service or to take one of the large print orders of service. Both are located on the table in the lobby. There are listening assistance devices there as well. Hymnals are available for anyone to use. And here are a few announcements. The Musical Friends of Alicia concert will happen here in the sanctuary today at 3 p.m. Performers will include the Rogers Park Community Singers with UCE choir members, blues and jazz singer Catherine Davis, the Musical Offering Blues Band, and our own Gregory Schifrin and Jen Weisgarver. Come celebrate Father's Day afternoon with great music. We'll also honor the Juneteenth holiday with donations accepted for Renaissance Social Services in Chicago, one of our shared plate offering recipients. Our shared offering program is now accepting nominations for next year. Oh my God. Please see the newsletter for the link to the application. The application due date is this year, June 30th. It's like soon. And reminder that next Sunday, June 26th, we will be live streaming the worship service from the Portland General Assembly at 11:30 a.m. Due to the later start time, we will be enjoying our kinship time before the service. This is our opening reading by Lucille Clifton. Won't you celebrate with me what I have shaped into a kind of life? I had no model. Born in Babylon, both non-white and woman, what did I see to be except myself? I made it up here on this bridge between starshine and clay, my one hand holding tight, my other hand. Come celebrate with me that every day something has tried to kill me and has failed. Welcome to worship.
Come by here, my Lord, come by here. Come by here, my Lord, come by here. Come by here, my Lord, come by here. Oh Lord, come by here. Someone singing, Lord, come by here. Someone singing, Lord, come by here. Someone singing, Lord, Someone's crying, Lord, come by. Praying on my knees. Someone's crying, Lord, come by. Come by. Someone's crying, Lord, come by. Come by here, my Lord. Come by here. So weary, Lord. Come by here, my Lord. Come by here. Come by.
The Unitarian Church of Evanston resides on the traditional homelands of the Council of Three Fires, the Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi nations. This land was recorded as being transferred from the local Potawatomi community to the U.S. government in 1829 and then was sold to white settlers. After decades of violent encroachment by the French, British, and then U.S. American settlers, the Potawatomi community had no choice but to sell before they were forcefully removed west of the Mississippi River. The Chicagoland area is now home to one of the largest and most diverse urban Native communities in the U.S. Our faith calls us to name these realities with honor and respect as one small effort toward finding greater accountability, deeper relationship, and mutuality with contemporary indigenous communities for the land which we use as sacred space. And I've stuck a page, sorry. For the land which we use as sacred space, for the animals and plants that have been sustained by this land, and for our ancestors and descendants who are and will become part of the earth. Today's chalice will be lit by Tom Hempfling. It is the symbol of our living tradition, and please join in saying these words by Langston Hughes that have been adapted. We have tomorrow bright before us like a flame. Yesterday, a night gone thing, a sundown name. And dawn today, broad arch above the road we came. We march. Please join and stand as you are able to recite our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in life, and to help one another. Now, before we sing our opening hymn, let's turn to one another, somebody possibly that you've never met before, and say good morning.
Good morning. Happy Juneteenth, happy Father's Day, happy Pride, all the things. I just wanted to introduce most of our hymns this morning, including our introit, our African American spirituals. And as a reminder, we will be paying into the Evanston Community Reparations Fund as a way of paying royalties for these hymns that come out of the trauma of enslavement and those that were a source of strength and resilience in the struggle. Our first hymn is number 104, When Israel Was in Egypt's Land, verses 1, 2, and 4. The tune of this song, if you didn't know this, is named after the abolitionist and conductor of the Underground Railroad, Harriet Tubman, who escaped slavery and helped many others to do the same. Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing. Happy to reintroduce our friend Greg Tertullian, who's here as our storyteller today. Good to have you back, Greg.
Good morning, good morning. Happy to be back today. Today we'll be talking a little bit about Juneteenth and a little bit of my experience dealing with it last year, because I didn't know about it before. So a little brief on Juneteenth. It's basically the official day that all the slaves knew that they were all free. So what do we do with this information? So last year on Juneteenth, when it officially became a holiday, I don't know if I found out the day before or the day of, I don't really remember. All I remember is I was on a film set that day with an early morning start time. I think the call time was 5:30, so I was probably up at 4 to get ready. So it was a long and tiring day, about 10 to 12 hour day on set. But towards the end of the day on set, I was wished a happy Juneteenth by other people of color. And I stood there and I was like, I don't know how to react to this. Happy Juneteenth back. Yeah. So my reasoning why I didn't know how to react to this is because I don't really feel it pertained to me, specifically because my ancestors didn't grow up here. My family comes from Haiti. So that history technically is not my history, so I didn't know it was right for me to accept it and to embrace it. So instead of having a conversation or trying to understand it better, I kind of just wished them heads to Juneteenth, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna go this way now and hide. Nobody else come do it, because I feel weird. It's an uncomfortable conversation. I'm guilty of pushing things off that I'm just like, they don't really pertain to me. I'm gonna go over here now. But thinking back to it, I kind of think it's more of a reflective process, and rather than just brushing it off, finding ways to understand it, finding ways to see how it impacts the lives of the people around me, the people I care about, the people I love, and how it impacts my life, either big or small. And thinking about that, it made me think about in other holidays throughout the year, in what ways do I think about those holidays, or do I like, hey, I got a free day off, I'm gonna have so much fun, instead of just actually thinking of that day. It's a holiday for a reason, and I think we should look at the reasoning behind why it is a holiday, and the reason in what ways we can contribute, in what ways we can reflect. It takes small steps, even if we're reflecting on it for 5 minutes, or an hour, or going to a community event where we don't have to do the talking, we can just do the listening. Because I'm a person who likes to listen more than talk sometimes, so I'm gonna go to that event that does the talking for me. But I think just going to that and trying to understand it better can help us to understand the whole process, understand in what ways we could probably help, we can probably grow from it, and see in what ways it does impact our lives, and going forward to help others around us to understand it. Because I feel like it's so easy to be dismissive because it's uncomfortable. I'm very guilty of it. I've had many scenarios where I'm not comfortable and I just will stay quiet or go the other way. But it's not wrong, but I feel like we can't stay in our own little cave because we cannot grow that way. We can't be more open-minded that way. And through us being more open-minded, we can connect more with other people. People who from our community, people from other communities, people who grew up differently than we did. And I'm still in that process of learning that. And from talking with people who have experienced that, who have had those conversations, it's opened my mind more to less of, let me hide from it, but let me embrace it, understand it. Let me understand your struggle, rather than just stay and say, it's not my problem, I'm gonna stay to the side. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. We're gonna sing in honor of that story. Our favorite, "This Little Light of Mine." Again, this is a tune. This is one of our African American spirituals. Sometimes we don't think of it that way, but it was a tune named for Louis Latimer, whose father escaped slavery, and Latimer worked on the electric light bulb with Thomas Edison, and on drawings for the first telephone with Alexander Graham Bell. So let's sing "This Little Light of Mine." Each Sunday, we hold space for the joys and sorrows of those gathered here, honoring the struggles and the triumphs, the brokenness and the wholeness that is part of the human condition. If you have a joy or a sorrow that you would like shared aloud with this community, you can write it in this book, which lives on that back table. You can send me an email, or you can fill out our Google form found on the homepage of the website. These are the joys and sorrows that have been shared today. Two related joys, one from Melanie Kitchener and one from Sarah Vanderwicken, about the Margarita garden party yesterday that Janelle Britton hosted. It was one of our Serendipity auction events. How nice it is to be able to gather again in community with some of these community building events. She hosted 20 people, delicious food, salty margaritas, and companionship with some folks that I'd not seen in ages, says Melanie. What a blessing to have been able to share this. Brava, Janelle. And Sarah says it was a big, big joy to join other auction winners at Janelle's house lovely to see people's faces and to feast on love and connection. And Diane Markle shares a joy. She writes, I'm moving 3 blocks from UCE this Wednesday. Yay! And she extends a welcome today to the visitors and one former UCE member that came back to visit us. Welcome, welcome. And this from Kristen Larson. She writes, how tough is Craig Spidell? Craig fell on May 27th, and though being x-rayed at the time and carrying on with cardiac and physical therapy these past 3 weeks, he was diagnosed via a CAT scan this past Friday with a broken hip. He was in surgery yesterday and received 3 pins and is recovering at Northwestern Memorial and in excellent spirits. Cards are most welcome. Please send them to their home. So he has been through a lot. Yes. And I just want to say I'm overjoyed that I was able to partake in the race against hate, even though I missed most folks. I underestimated the amount of time it took to park, but all those that you that walked or ran today, thank you for doing that demonstration of our commitment to racial justice and racial healing. This sacred space for our tender offerings is part of the practice of beloved community. Together we expand our celebrations and lessen the burden of our grief. You are invited now to come forward and light a candle for the joys and sorrows that are on your heart. I invite you to join me in the spirit of prayer and a posture of meditation. Settle into your body. You may wish to plant your feet on the floor, to rest your hands in your lap, soften your gaze, or close your eyes. Notice your breath. Breathe in from your belly and let the breath rise to your lungs. Release your breath and feel the tension flow out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Listen to the hum in the room, the sounds of life, the flow of air, the movement of bodies. Breathe in, breathe out. Be here now. We are connected, one with the earth and one with each other. And we are each unique, with gifts to contribute to the whole. We hold in this moment our oneness, our wholeness, and our uniqueness. Breathe in, breathe out. We hold with love and appreciation those who provide loving care, the parents, the caregivers, the guardians, the fathers and grandfathers, the uncles, the cousins, the siblings, the pibbles who nurture and provide for others. We acknowledge the complexity of and hold gratitude for life-giving relationships. Breathe in, breathe out. We return to this moment, to ourselves and to one another. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free from suffering.
As we say in our covenant each Sunday, service is our law. UCE is called by our mission, values, and principles to contribute to our community, to form accountable partnerships, and to express gratitude through giving. Today's offering will be shared with Restore Justice, which advocates for fairness, humanity, and compassion throughout the Illinois criminal justice system, with a primary focus on those affected by extreme sentences imposed on our youth. If you are joining us from home or in the building, you may text to give, mail in a check, or give from our website. If you write a check, please indicate in the memo line if your check is for the shared offering, pledge, capital campaign, or some other giving. If you're in the sanctuary, just like in the old days, the ushers will pass the collection bowls down the aisles. Isn't this great? Please give as generously as you are able, and may what you give bring you joy. I just love this. Heidi, 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 ho. This is Let America Be America Again by Langston Hughes. I'm going to read it from the big type. Let America be America again. Let it be the dream it used to be. Let it be the pioneer on the plain seeking a home where he himself is free. America never was America to me. Let America be the dream the dreamers dreamed. Let it be that great, strong land of love where never kings connive nor tyrants scheme, that any man be crushed by one above. It never was America to me. Oh, let my land be a land where liberty is crowned with no false patriotic wreath, but opportunity is real and life is free. Equality is in the air we breathe. There's never been equality for me, nor freedom in this homeland of the free. Say, who are you that mumbles in the dark, and who are you that draws your veil across the stars? I am the poor white, fooled and pushed apart. I am the Negro bearing slavery scars. I am the red man driven from the land. I am the immigrant clutching the hope I seek and finding only the same old stupid plan of dog eat dog, of mighty crush the weak. I am the young man full of strength and hope, tangled in that ancient endless chain of profit, power, gain, of grab the land, of grab the gold, of grab the ways of satisfying need, of work the men, of take the pay, of owning everything for one's own greed. I am the farmer, bondsman to the soil. I am the worker sold to the machine. I am the Negro servant to you all. I am the people humble, hungry, mean, hungry yet today despite the dream, beaten yet today. Oh, pioneers, I am the man who never got ahead, the poorest worker bartered through the years. Yet I'm the one who dreamt our basic dream in the old world while still a serf of kings, who dreamt the dream so strong, so brave, so true. And yet, even yet, its mighty daring sings in every brick and stone, in every furrow turned, that's made America the land it has become. Oh, I'm the man who sailed those early seas in search of what I meant to be my home. For I'm the one who left dark Ireland's shore, and Poland's plain, and England's grassy lea, and torn from black Africa's strand, I came to build a homeland of the free. The free? Who said the free? Not me. Surely not me. The millions on relief today, the millions shot down when we strike, the millions who have nothing for our pay, for all the dreams we've dreamed, and all the songs we've sung, and all the hopes we've held, and all the flags we've hung. The millions who have nothing for our pay except the dream that's almost dead today. Oh, let America be America again, the land that never has been yet, and yet must be. The land where every man is free, the land that's mine, the poor man's, the Indians, Negroes, me. Who made America? Whose sweat and blood, whose faith and pain, whose hand at the foundry, whose plow in the rain must bring back our mighty dream again? Sure, call me any ugly name you choose. The steel of freedom does not stain from those who live like leeches on the people's lives. We must take back our land again, America. Oh yes, I say it plain. America never was America to me, and yet I swear this oath. America will be. Out of the wreck and ruin of our gangster death, the rape and rot of graft and stealth and lies, we, the people, must redeem the land, the mines, the plants, the rivers, the mountains, and the endless plain, and all the stretch of these great green states, and make America again.
Lift every voice and sing, till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rejoicing, rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the hope that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the faith that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died, yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed. Ye have come over a way that with tears has been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered, out of the gloomy past, till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. God of our wearies, God of our silent tears, God who has brought us thus far on the way, God who has by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray, lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee, lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand. True to our God, true to our native land.
Many thanks to our good friend, Henry Pless, who will be singing later today, for offering us his beautiful rendition of the African American National Anthem. It was written by the brothers James Weldon Johnson and J. Rosamond Johnson. Last year, Juneteenth was finally made a federal holiday after 156 years, though it hasn't widely been celebrated for most of that history. It has endured as a demonstration of the resilience of Black joy. I want to start, and thank you, Greg, for sharing with us that this is not something that you've experienced before. And in fact, when Annette and I talked about it, you said you were kind of late to the game too of Juneteenth. It's an acknowledgement that it hasn't been as widely recognized for a long time. And I acknowledge that as a white cisgender woman, I want to honor Juneteenth without appropriating it. Truthfully, I didn't know what it was 10 years ago when one of my friends in the Baha'i community and a partner in Interfaith dialogue, Walter Williams, asked me to speak at a Juneteenth event at the Baha'i Temple. I thought he'd made a mistake, and I told him so, but he insisted that I had something to say about equality and liberation, and so I shared a poem that I wrote titled Emancipation, which read in part, "We are fixed to each other, hewn together in mutual need, aligned by our co-vulnerability, adhered by love, rendered open by pain. We are emancipated by love, found on the other side of injustice, and we bow our heads, remembering to pray to the one love which cannot and never will be bound in chains." I was attempting with this poem to share my desire for emancipation from the concept of a punishing God, the concept of a deity above us constructed around the false notion that we are separate. I was thinking then about letting go of what holds me captive mentally and spiritually, my feelings of inadequacy and internalized misogyny. Looking back, I fear my poem may have articulated a false equivalency between the oppression that I experience of my gender and the oppression of slavery and white supremacy, though I do believe that patriarchy and white supremacy are deeply intertwined forms of oppression that harm all of us in very different ways. I do not wish to center myself or my experience as I speak about Juneteenth. At the same time, I maintain the belief that we are one. I still long for collective liberation, which is only possible through the knowing of our interdependence and our work together toward mutual freedom. Today, it feels as though we are further away from that sense of unity in this country than we have been for a very long time. I wonder if we are as divided now as we were when the Emancipation Proclamation was written. In September 1862, President Lincoln read his preliminary Emancipation Proclamation, and 100 days later it took effect. It ordered the emancipation of enslaved people in the Confederate States alone, not the border states that were loyal to the Union, even though they too held people in bondage. The proclamation read in part, "All persons held as slaves within any state or designated part of a state shall be thenceforth and forever free. And the executive government of the United States will recognize and maintain the freedom of such persons and will do no act or acts to repress such persons in any efforts they may make for their actual freedom." Many Black men who had been enslaved in the southern states then went to fight for the Union Army. Some say that's why the Union Army was able to defeat the Confederacy. But in Galveston, Texas, where many slaveholders were driving their captives away from the encroaching Union forces, the news of emancipation did not reach them until 2.5 years later, when Major General Gordon Granger of the Union Army arrived on June 19th of 1865 and stated, quote, "The people of Texas are informed that in accordance with a proclamation from the executive of the United States, all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of personal rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves, and the connection heretofore existing between them becomes that between employer and hired labor. Here's where it gets complicated. The freedmen are advised to remain quietly at their present homes and work for wages. They are informed that they will not be allowed to collect at military posts, and that they will not be supported in idleness, either there or elsewhere. What started as an unequivocal announcement of freedom devolved into a mealy-mouthed silencing and erasure, setting up the 13th Amendment and incarceration as another form of slavery. The legal language takes the spark out of what should have been a resounding and clear pronouncement of liberation. You might have imagined cheers of joy would have erupted when the general made this announcement, but there was no celebration then. There was still a very real threat of violence for those who left the slaveholders' land, even after they learned they were freed. Henry Louis Gates Jr. wrote about that day of supposed liberation, saying it was, quote, hardly the recipe for a celebration, which is what makes the story of Juneteenth all the more remarkable. Defying confusion and delay, terror and violence, the newly, quote, freed black men and women of Texas, with the aid of the Freedmen's Bureau, itself delayed from arriving until September 1865, now had a date to rally around. In one of the most inspiring grassroots efforts of the post-Civil War period, they transformed June 19th from a day of unheeded military orders into their own annual rite, Juneteenth, beginning 1 year later in 1866. Liberation is complicated and costly. It is made up of thousands of small advances and tiny movements pushing against the edge of oppression. The struggle for liberation is ongoing, and it might be never-ending. And yet, the story of Juneteenth is about the persistence of joy. It demonstrates the power of people who have and continue to be oppressed, fighting for and finding joy, imagining what is possible, holding on to love and beauty throughout struggle and in the midst of terrible suffering. As people of progressive faith striving to make the world more whole and to heal our spirits, we are charged to stay in the struggle and keep searching for the joy, the possibility, the beauty, and the love that will and always has sustained the labor for collective liberation. In the most recent UU World magazine, Reverend Kimberly Quinn Johnson, minister of the Unitarian Universalist congregation of South Fork in Bridgehampton, New York, writes about Black joy, saying, quote, "It is the joy that I have learned from Black people. It is the joy created through our collective healing, our laying down of burdens to be picked up and shared by our people, our community. I marvel that in the midst of sadness and sorrow, in the midst of feeling the effects of generations of trauma wrought by racism and white supremacy, we can still find joy with each other," end quote. She goes on to encourage Unitarian Universalism to claim a joy that African-American theologian, spiritual teacher, and activist Barbara A. Holmes calls a joy unspeakable. That is, quote, "the surprise of living one more day." We honor Juneteenth as a day of joy unspeakable, a day to celebrate resilience and power for African Americans who have endured the unthinkable and unforgivable. For those of us who are white, we are being called to dedicate ourselves to reflection, reconciliation, and repair. Such honest reflection requires humility and a willingness to lament and feel deep sorrow for one another and with one another. And we must also embrace the possibility that joy opens up for all of us. We cannot create liberation without We cannot create liberation with and for one another if we cannot imagine it and claim the joy it would bring. This past Monday, some of you attended the rally which expressed the coordinated support of the Evanston Interfaith community for reparations locally and nationally. Our support begins with acknowledgement of harm done, with telling the full stories of our history. For those of us, again, who are white, we must own our part in harm done, which includes receiving the benefits of privilege and institutional and generational wealth. As we continue on the road of reparations, it's important to know that this too is complicated. Not everyone in Evanston and not all Black people in Evanston agree with the way that things are moving forward with reparations. There are some who view white support as an indication of the illegitimacy or lack of transparency of the process. There are some who feel that the only form of real reparations would be a check made out to every single Black Evanstonian. And these are valid concerns. And as a white clergy person, it's not my job to defend the reparations stakeholders' authority or Black-led efforts to move this forward. It is my role to support and encourage this congregation of mostly white folks to support and contribute in the ways we can to repair harm done. Pastor Michael Neighbors, my colleague and friend of Second Baptist, shared with our clergy group last week after he attended the Tribeca Film Festival in New York for the premiere of the documentary film, The Big Payback. This is the film about reparations efforts here in Evanston. I haven't seen it yet. I know some of you have, but he said that though the different viewpoints around reparations in Evanston were given voice in the film, the support of those who have been working on reparations for decades is resounding. The National African American Reparations Commission, NARC, the National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations in America, in COBRA, the Congressional Black Caucus, the NAACP, all have their eyes on what's happening in Evanston. And they are in support of the approach our Black leaders are taking to begin the process of redress, reconciliation, and repair. The 16 faith communities that signed on to the statement of support on Monday understand that this is a financial commitment. We have work to do. We have work to do here to figure out how to fulfill this part of the commitment, and members of the Board of Trustees, the staff and I are working on a proposal which will hopefully combine individual contributions to the Evanston Community Reparations Fund, funds from our shared plate and our endowment, as well as targeted fundraisers. More to come on that, but I encourage you to let me know if you've got ideas, if you'd like to be involved in that process. The financial component of our commitment is important, and it is far from all that needs to be done. We are committed to ongoing learning and soul searching, of looking into our congregational history, of searching honestly for the ways that we have contributed to racial justice, as well as for the times when we have remained silent or complicit. A team of us here at UC have begun to look through our archives for a fuller understanding of our congregation's story, of when we showed up and when we didn't. And as we learn these stories, we will keep sharing them. The journey of reparations, reconciliation, and repair also continues through relationships. Joy and healing is found in building and maintaining genuine relationships of solidarity across difference. This kind of relationship building can take many forms. People across faith traditions meet together to learn together. We have been doing this for a long time, to share our stories, to serve together on social justice and social action projects, and to gather socially. We just had our ice cream social out on the lawn, and friends from Second Baptist invited members of this congregation to meet at the beach for their Pentecost service, and many of you went. So we're doing this work. It's something that's ongoing. Another emerging idea about building relationships as things reopen is an interfaith, intergenerational civil rights tour. That could begin in Evanston, it could be continue through Chicagoland area and to the civil rights stops along the road to the American South. So more coming about that information. As we cultivate these relationships and travel the road of liberation, repair, and relationships, let's remember that it is complicated. And those of us who are white, let us be humble and follow the lead of our black neighbors and friends. Let's remember that it is not the job of black people to educate white people or make us feel better about ourselves. With that in mind, with an earnest desire to be accountable, we can build genuine relationships of joy and reconciliation and repair. Even though it's complicated, even though it can feel pitifully and painfully slow to fight and claw and bicker our way through the mire and muck of freedom, we must continue on. Let us orient ourselves on the road, though it be winding and difficult, filled with pitfalls and missteps, with the knowledge that liberation, though costly, is the only way. And it is only possible when all of us, each and every one of us, is truly free. May we continue on the road toward liberation and joy. May we celebrate the promise of true freedom and the resilience of those who have too long been denied. May the story of Juneteenth be one we all know and honor with our actions, our love, and our shared joy. May it be so.
Chalice is already extinguished. So Tom, you could do a virtual blow it out. But join me in reading these words. As we extinguish the chalice, though the flame is extinguished, we carry with us the warmth of community, the light of truth, and the fire of commitment until we are together again. Please rise in body and spirit as you are able to sing hymn number 153, I Woke Up This Morning.
Our benediction is by Nelson Mandela. I have walked that long road of freedom. I have tried not to falter. I have made missteps along the way, but I have discovered the secret that after climbing a great hill, one only finds that there are many more hills to climb. I have taken a moment here to rest, to steal a view of the glorious vista that surrounds me, to look back on the distance I have come. But I can rest only for a moment, for with freedom come responsibilities, and I dare not linger, for my long walk is not yet ended. Let us carry on with our long walk, finding joy along the way. Thank you.